Mateusz Bogusz to LAFC is official, a recap of our game versus Colorado, and a preview of this week's 2 games on this LAFC Weekly. It's hat drop official. LAFC have acquired Mateusz Bogusz on a permanent transfer from Leeds United, signing him to a 4-year contract through 2026 with an option for 2027. We just have to wait to receive his international transfer certificate and P1 visa to see him on the field. John Thorrington described him as a talented young player with great ability who will provide another quality piece to our club. He is a dynamic and exciting attacker who has the ability to help our group in our ambitions to win more trophies. I am excited to welcome Mateusz to Los Angeles. If you're interested in learning more about his background, we already covered that on last week's video, and you should be seeing an info card on the top right corner of the screen right now with a link to said video. If you're not a subscriber already, this is your cue to join the Black and Gold community on YouTube. Subscribe and turn on the notification bell to stay in the loop on all things LAFC. LAFC played the Colorado Rapids to a scoreless draw this past weekend. That was a pretty disappointing game considering Colorado is dead last in the Western Conference, and that result has us slide down to 6th overall in the Supporter Shield race. The silver lining is that we remain undefeated with a 3-0-2 record with 11 points. That makes it good for 3rd place in the West. We remain one of just 3 MLS teams without a loss this season, alongside Cincinnati and Minnesota. Here's what the team had to say after the game.
Interesting game, slow game, a good result on the road. You got to be happy with the points, got to be happy with the clean sheet, but just a really choppy game, boring game. It's a style that they wanted to play, and we kind of fell into it. So overall, we walk out of here with a point, which is good, but we know we can be better and need to be better.
Yeah, I'm not sure this was the best game to watch. Not a whole lot of quality from either team as far as passing goes, combination goes. A lot of second balls, a lot of battles, a lot of set pieces. I'm pretty sure that's what our opponent Colorado wanted, and unfortunately we couldn't turn the game into a game that favors us, which is, like I explained, with passes, with combinations, more possession. I thought we started very well in the first 25 minutes, created a few chances, and I think if we continue down that path, then I think we have a great chance of winning the game. But we got knocked off our rhythm, and I guess credit to Colorado, they were able to fight their way back in the game, slow the game down, slow the pace of the game down, and we couldn't find our rhythm with the ball again, but compliment to the boys. They fought hard and defended well and kept a clean sheet on the road and took a point with us. So that's always good in this league.
We had a good game plan going into it, but a mixture of, heavy legs and the altitude, and then just the choppiness of the game. It was hard to get a good rhythm. Field was bumpy, not excuses, but just little things that add up to us not playing enough passes, not keeping the ball on the ground enough, too many long balls, just not really our style of play. So we fell into what they wanted a little bit too much.
One final thing to highlight is that John McCarthy now has 3 shutouts in MLS play this season and 4 overall, including Champions League, which segues right into our next segment. LAFC play away to Vancouver this Wednesday in the first leg of the Conca Champions quarterfinals at 7 p.m. Vancouver is coming into this game having earned their very first MLS win this season over Montreal 5-0. Finally picking up 3 points and doing so against a fellow Canadian side for them. You could argue that the lopsided win was helped by a red card to a Montreal defender in the 22nd minute, but they still had to put away those 5 goals at the end of the day. And after our game with Dallas, we learned that being a man up doesn't necessarily mean a lot of goals for the team with the most players. In terms of Champions League, during the first round, they dominated Honduran side Real España 5-0 at home in the first leg and lost away in Honduras 2-3 for an aggregate win of 7-3. Fun fact, we were actually supposed to play the first leg in LA, but due to the stadium schedules booked with prior events, Vancouver and LA agreed to swap legs. So now we're playing the first one in Vancouver and the second one, the return leg here at home. No complaints here. Players to watch for Vancouver: Julian Gressel. Gressel made the move to Vancouver after breaking out with Atlanta, being an integral piece to their squad leading up to the MLS Cup they won in 2018. He usually slots in at right mid, so Palacios will have his hands full. Gressel is the type of player that makes everybody around him better. This season, he has 1 goal and 4 assists in all competitions, and since joining MLS, he's played 190 games with 22 goals and 63 assists. Another one to look out for is Simon Becker. This guy's a poacher. He's a center forward with 4 goals this year. Becker's been getting the most awkward balls and half chances, but still manages to get a touch towards goal. Right place, right time for the 23-year-old. He played for Vancouver 2 last season and just moved up to the first team. He wasn't even on the bench for Vancouver to start the season and only saw his first minutes 3 weeks ago in their away leg in Honduras. But since coming off the bench in that game, he scored in every single game he's played in. He's going to be looking to extend his streak against us. They also have an ex-LAFC player in Tristan Blackman who slotted in a starting role at center back for them and done really well since making the move. He's played in 5 of the 6 MLS games this season, just getting a break for load management since he's also played both games in Champions League. He has 1 goal in MLS and then another goal in Champions League as well. He's been pretty much an etched-in-stone starter for them since his transfer from LAFC.
Yeah, it's a big one on Wednesday. We'll be ready to go. It's always just, it's a game of trying to get into all the recovery you can get into, recovery boots, making sure to get sleep on the plane back tonight, making sure we do everything we can to recover. That's the kind of the moral of the story for this season, is making sure that we're recovering quickly. So the guys are ready to respond on Wednesday against Vancouver and put in a good shift.
If you've made it this far into the video, I'd really appreciate it if you just hit the like button. It really does help out the algorithm and helping other LAFC fans find videos like these. Just say thanks for that like button. Here's a picture of Paul. So hit the like button for Paul and leave a comment if you don't know who Paul is. Somebody from our community will surely answer that for you. And lastly, we close out the week 3 days later by hosting Austin at BMO Stadium in what looks to be like a huge trap game for us. I'm expecting a heavily rotated squad. Thinking ahead to next week, we have our return leg against Vancouver again in Champions League, and we also have the derby away at Carson. There's no way we're resting players against Vancouver at home, and definitely not going to be doing much rotating against Carson, I hope. So this Austin game is pretty much it. Austin will be looking to pounce on that opportunity. They've been struggling to find their form this season and set a new low for MLS after getting bounced out of Champions League by a Haitian side, Violette Athletic Club. They are the first MLS team to lose to a Haitian side. Not the kind of history that they expected to write this season after having a pretty successful one last year and coming into with really high hopes for this one. So even with their slow start, they sit at 7th in the West with 2 wins, 2 losses, and 1 draw, good for 7 points. Austin also had a bye week this past weekend and did not play, so they'll be coming off 2 weeks rest. They'll be hoping to catch us off guard with a rotated squad to build some traction and confidence.
Stay posted.
Before we get to any match day stuff, this is a story that needs